Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me much pleasure to welcome all of us to the Nigerian CNG Webinar. It is organized by the LPG Subcommittee of the Major Marketers Association of Nigeria. The theme of today's conference is Gas as an Alternative Fuel for Nigerians. During the course of this webinar, you'll be taken through the advanced Nigerian gas professionals in the area of compressed natural gas. We are going to see opportunities for investment, and we're also going to see the kind of policies that will help us to make gas an alternative fuel for Nigerians. You'll have the opportunity to ask questions using the participant. Now we are going to get right into it. Background. Egypt as a country is planning to convert 1.8 million cars to run on CNG within the next 5 years. And yet the country has only 77 trillion cubic feet of gas proven reliable. But in Nigeria, with over 200 trillion cubic feet of gas, we surely can do more. So our ambitions should be higher. For a long time, gas has been punching way below its weight. It is time for gas to actually take its space. The experts on the panel today will help us to chart a blueprint on how gas can indeed be an alternative fuel for Nigerians. Now let's get right to it. The program today will have two main sessions. After this welcome address, we will proceed to the main session where the guests will give us their presentations. So to introduce from Mr. Tunji, and the other from in 2008, he's a member of professional bodies. He's also an alumnus of the Thunderbird School of Global Management, Arizona, USA, as well as the Lagos Business School. He's currently the MD of 11 PLC and the chairman of MOMAN. Mr. Emeka Akabogu is an energy lawyer. He is the senior partner at the law firm Akabogu and Associates. As the chairman of OTL Africa Downstream, he engages with interest across the downstream oil and gas value chain. He's an alumnus of University of Lagos, the University of College London, IMO International Maritime Law Institute, Malta. He's a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Shipping and currently serves on the Executive Council of the Nigerian Maritime Law Association. Gentlemen, I'm turning over to you. Mr. Adetunji, you start first. You have 5 minutes each. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the webinar. Again, I joined the moderator in apologizing for the technical hitches that took place. I will just read through my very brief statement. The representative of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Dr. Mohammed M. Ibrahim, Chairman of the National Gas Expansion Program, Chief Executives of companies present here, key speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar organized by the Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria in collaboration with OTL Africa and hosted by ARS Conference Services to discuss gas as an alternative fuel for Nigerians. This is coming at an auspicious time when prices of PMS, the main source of automobile fuel in Nigeria, have been unstable due to foreign exchange constraints and the price of crude oil on the international market. First is the issue of climate change, which has necessitated governments all over the world to promote the use of low-carbon, clean fuel as new sources of energy, and natural gas in the form of compressed or liquefied comes to the fore on account of its low emission of greenhouse gases. Nigeria is currently ranked 7th most endowed natural gas country in the world, with about 180 trillion cubic feet of natural gas deposits, which can be utilized as gas to power, petrochemicals, liquefied natural gas, LNG, LPG, and compressed natural gas, among others. With the flag off of the construction of the gas train from Ajaokuta to Kaduna and Kano by President Mohamed Buhari, and the federal government gas expansion project to deepen gas utilization internally, there's an opportunity for investors to collaborate with government to invest in CNG as an alternative fuel to PMS. In Nigeria, gas is readily available, cheaper, and less maintenance costs on equipment powered with it. In post-COVID-19, the price of refined petroleum products, PMS and AGO, will rise from present level due to higher demands for crude as most economies that are hitherto locked down open up for production. This will push up the price of PMS and AGO, energy fuels mostly used in Nigeria, hence the need for an alternative fuel for Nigerians. Over 90% of petroleum products consumed in Nigeria are imported because of the epileptic state of our refineries. Demand for foreign exchange will continue to put pressure on an already weakened naira, thereby pushing up prices of imported petroleum products. Such can be diverted to fix infrastructure of transportation, electricity, education, and healthcare to improve living standards of Nigerians. MOMAN is using this webinar to support the National Gas Expansion Program of the federal government to discuss various ways gas can be utilized and deepened among Nigerians to enable the government of Nigeria conclude the ongoing process of full deregulation of petroleum products. The opportunity will enable stakeholders engage government on its gas expansion program and opportunities in the gas space, and how investors can key into the rapidly transform our transportation system, especially in urban mass transit systems. The key speakers at this webinar are experts in the various subjects they will be handling to help all participants gain knowledge on how to unlock the CNG space, which has been embraced in countries across the world as the new upcoming fuel to replace fossil fuels of PMS and AGO. Thank you very much.
Let us now take welcome remark from Mr. Emeka Kabog. Thank you, Mr. Oyebanji.
Good morning. I'm very here this morning. The Major Marketers Association of Nigeria, MOMAN, on this very important initiative to promote CNG deployment in Nigeria. The OTL philosophy has always been to harness the drivers of all the key subsectors and markets that make up the downstream energy value chain, overall value. That operators have in question, and of also in the ease of operation within those markets, the social policies that drive markets, and at the end of the day, the service delivery in that last mile, and altogether sustainability of the entire process. And the content intervene and engage actively with both operators and regulators on the key pressure points of the specific sectors, while at the same time advocating for broader industry policies of macro and multiplier impacts. And it's within this context that the CNG benefits of CNG feed right into a recurring thematic interest which we have, which is sustainable, very much in tune with national imperatives, given rising gasoline prices and sustained global advocacy for the mainstreaming of clean energy. It's particularly important in the face of the somewhat muted profile of CNG within the energy value chain in Nigeria. We recommend and we commend the recent efforts of the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources to encourage the co-location of auto gas gas options in traditional gasoline dispensing stations, and other efforts to facilitate increased deployment and use of auto gas. We must, however, warn that the role of government in this regard should be limited to facilitation by way of incentives, guidelines, and monitoring regulatory compliance, and not to delve into operations. This will ensure focus on policy, shorn of the distractions that arise from procurements, recruitments, and reset of issues. So today's webinar is one of a couple of important pre-events leading to the OTL Downstream Week later in October, which we look forward to. And we trust that this will be enriching and immediately useful to kickstart major positive changes in the Nigerian CNG markets. We are grateful to our service provider, ARS Conference Services, for the tremendous work which it has done within the short time this project has been on. On this note, I'm pleased to welcome everyone and wish us a very, very fruitful session in the course of today's event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Akabogo and Mr. Oyebanji, for those fine remarks. Key points stood out. PMS prices eventually will rise as factories open up, and then we'll really need an alternative to fuel. And Mr. Emeka has advised that government should not delve into operations. Rather, it should regulate. These are fine presentations. We are now moving to the main session. I will be starting with an introduction of the CNG initiative. This section will be handled by the LPG Subcommittee Chairman, Mr. Alex Tiamiu. Mr. Alex Tiamiu is a seasoned energy expert with a wealth of experience spanning over 15 years, with focus in natural gas operations. He has held various positions in NIPCO PLC as a pioneer management staff, developing CNG business as an alternative fuel for close to a decade. He's currently the head of LPG, MRS Oil Nigeria PLC. He holds an MBA in marketing management from the State University and is an associate member of Nigerian Institute of Management. It's married with 3 children. We are taking your presentation now. Is Mr. Tiamiu available? We'll have a slight change in the presentation. Sorry, Mr. Tiamiu is not available. We are taking the presentation of Mohammed Ibrahim, Dr. Mohammed Ibrahim. Dr. Ibrahim has over 30 years of cognate experience in international energy industry. His experience travels the entire streams of the hydrocarbon, conventional and renewable energy sectors, having worked at various times with Adex Petroleum, Equatorial Petroleum, as well as public sector in various capacities. Dr. Ibrahim was instrumental to the development of the compressed natural gas project for automotive and industrial uses, resulting in the establishment of the green gas, which is now NIPCO gas. Thank you for joining us, sir. We are taking your presentation now.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Isaac. On behalf of Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed, my name is Dr. P.I. Abner. I'm representing the Chairman National Gas Expansion Program, who is unavoidably absent. He wished he was here for this webinar. Unfortunately, he has another concurrent session going on also, which he felt I should cover up. I hope I will be able to do justice to the very long profile you read about him. I hope his shoes will be my size. Let me try, at least, I will just go through a few slides and discuss. I can see so many of our friends here. Let me start from the chairman, Moman. I want to thank you for this opportunity, the Executive Secretary, Moman, and also all the chief executives here present, my very good friends and colleagues, welcome. Probably we need to, it will take you some few seconds if I'm sharing the screen where you can see with me. If you don't mind, you see it. Are we together? Hello, Mr. Isaac, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, sir.
Oh, excellent, that's okay. Thank you. So I can go ahead now. Now, the webinar is actually on the compressed natural gas and its usage in Nigeria. You just mentioned about Egypt that is planning or has commenced the process. Other countries and our neighboring countries like Ghana and others have gone far also in this regard. So the compressed natural gas, as it is this year, January 16th, the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, in his wisdom, inaugurated a committee of the National Gas Expansion Program, thereby declaring this year as a year of gas. And because of that, he had to set up this committee to ensure the expansion of gas utilization in the country. So we'll go through the slides, and then probably I'm sure some questions will come in here and there, because I know we didn't start on time and we don't have all the time within the space. Before I will forget, I'm sure tomorrow for others who will still be here, if all these questions are not answerable here, we have a session tomorrow, physical meeting with Moman and Dabma in Lagos. So for those who are physically there, please avail yourself the opportunity, or we can discuss on that. I'll just go through the basic background: energy, resources, and economic activities in Nigeria, the national gas industry, domestic gas, the lever for economic sustainability, the NGP as a panacea to energy instability, and then the CNG deployment strategy, and then probably I will conclude in that regard. Energy, of course, has different sources and is being utilized for different reasons. You know, it can be from renewable and non-renewable, whether it is oil or coal or natural gas or solar, wind or hydro, whatever. Then it can be used for virtually every aspect of the economy, because there is virtually nothing you do without energy. Therefore, the importance of CNG or gas itself cannot be overemphasized. The energy resources, economic activities in Nigeria, you can see clearly this picture speaks a lot. We can spend a lot of time talking about part of the pictures and some of the pictures. If you look at what is in the middle, it's showing you that's an advanced agriculture that you hardly can find such in the African region. If you see telecommunications, you see the market, you see textile, you see production sites, and there is an ugly picture on the first top left, which is showing you the transportation system, or how we also move our petroleum products. Even though for government, 65% of revenue comes from this, and also 90% of Nigeria's foreign exchange earning. That's what it has there. Then the Nigerian gas industry, you can see, is somehow blessed indeed. We have not utilized the gas resources we have as a reserve in this country. We have over 200.3 TCF, both of non-associated and associated in the country, which I believe the utilization of this will go a very long way in metamorphosizing the economy in Nigeria. Let's go to looking at the domestic gas utilization itself as a lever for economic sustainability. The Nigerian economy is actually hinged on constant power supply. There is virtually nothing you do without adequate or constant power supply. Therefore, bringing electricity to its citizens and at a cost that is reasonable will go a long way in doing that. Yes.
Please put your
In
slide on
collaboration
the
with the
slide.
stakeholder. Yeah.
Sorry,
The
Dr.
Ministry of
Abner.
Petroleum. Yes, please.
Can you please put your slides on the slide so that it's not very visible to the audience?
Okay. It's clear
Very
now?
good, sir. Thank you, sir.
Clear now?
It is.
Okay, great.
Yes, it is. Thank you, sir.
Beautiful, beautiful. So the ministry wishes to ensure that we convert a massive amount of gas being flared, especially at the flare sites at the moment, so that it can be utilized adequately for both domestic and probably export. Therefore, a significant network of additional gas pipeline is a priority indeed. The flag off of the AKK, of course, has added a boost to the gas sector itself. And I hope that in the next 1 or 2 years, we should be able to at least get the AKK running. Based on that, the production, stability, predictability of gas pricing framework, Nigeria will be able to attract further investment in this sector and the industry entirely. Therefore, government effort to stabilizing gas price or gas pricing will of course add a lot of credit to gas pricing committee, and currently we're working on that. The PIB also provides a wide variety of features to ensure that natural gas makes the optimal contribution to sustainable industry and national development in the medium and also in the long run. Therefore, the National Gas Expansion Program, existing policies, legal framework, regulatory, commercial instruments, and development local gas are being reviewed. Reforming also and implementing the promotion of market structure in a manner that will ensure the utilization of gas structure assets, facilities on common carrier and co-sharing basis is our cardinal objective. Strategies that will promote cost of effective distribution of various gas streams by marine, rail, roads, and achieving a most affordable and available, acceptable, accessible gas to Nigeria has been formulated. So all these are being considered with the involvement of the key critical stakeholders under the following. One, deepening the domestic auto gas streams of LPG, CNG, or LNG for automobiles and other prime movers. We also have CNG for electricity and also gas-based industries revitalization. And therefore, substituting traditional white products with gas will cushion the effect of deregulation, as we earlier discussed. I think somebody, and it will foster human capital development through new investments and also create enormous jobs opportunities in Nigeria. Yes, so the CNG, of course, is mainly methane. 90 to 95% is mainly methane, and of course, at a very high pressure of 250 to 250 bars or 3,600 psi. To enable transportation in cylinders or caskets for economic quantity. Converting a petrol or diesel vehicle to run on CNG can be done in various ways depending on the type of factory-fitted engines of the cars, and this will also determine the type of conversion kits to be used. I'm glad I saw THLD and other service providers also online. I'm sure maybe they will have something to say in that regard. This slide is very critical. This is what the CNG deployment strategy we have on ground. We're going to go through it briefly, maybe in the next 2 minutes, if I wish I have time to go through it extensively. While we have the CNG infrastructure, where the mother station, daughter station, refueling station, trucks or cascades, conversion centers, technology providers, service providers, operators, and relevant stakeholders. Let it be seen that, of course, virtually all of us here are familiar with it. We're all industry people, so there is no need to begin to differentiate or give too much explanation in this regard, even though there is a great difference between a daughter station and a refueling station. We'll come to discuss that maybe later on. We also have the penetration plan where the CNG, of course, the focal point is CNG program manager, the gas requirements, fuel station requirements, conversion kits, incentives, funding, and so on and so forth. Then the rollout itself, we're intending to have a rollout already Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Bayelsa, Ogun, and other states. Apparently, you know that CNG has been in existence in Nigeria for over 17 years. We have NIPCO of this world, Axelas and the rest, Total Support, so many other participants, which I have seen some online, Gasco Marine and the rest. Now, the stakeholder engagement, the committee itself has engaged extensively with various stakeholders within the country, and hopefully you begin to see changes, and the Honorable Minister himself has an interest, hopefully, to commence the rollout early this September. Other details will be discussed extensively tomorrow when we have a meeting with Moman and DAPMA, and probably also on Friday with automobile assemblers and dealers. So I think I want to thank you so much for this period, because I've already spent my time and I try to keep to this moment. Thank you, Moman, for creating this opportunity that we can interact. I hope we'll be able to see better instead of just virtual. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that beautiful presentation. And we are indeed excited about the activities of the Nigerian gas expansion program. It is really performing a remarkable in a remarkable way, and we can see the effect, and that is essentially why we are having conversation around this issue. Thank you so much for the fine presentation. Let us now go to the part we introduced earlier. Mr. Tiami is now with us. I will invite him to give the introduction to CNG. He's going to take us through an overview of CNG. His profile has been read before, but you don't shave a man's head in his absence. So let's read his profile again. Kindly indulge me. Mr. Alex Tiamiu is a seasoned energy expert with a wealth of experience spanning over 15 years with focus in natural gas operations. He has held various positions in NIPCO PLC as a pioneer management staff, developing CNG business as an alternative fuel for close to a decade. He is currently the head of LPG MRS Oil Nigeria PLC. He holds an MBA in marketing management from the State University and is an associate member of Nigerian Institute of Management. He's married with 3 children. Mr. Tiami, you have our attention now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this introduction. Let me start by appreciating all our participants, most especially the representative of the honorable ministers, the CEOs of the CEO here present, and all the participants. This is a laudable program at this time, especially now that the CNG is coming to play a front burner. Let me just give you an hindsight. Precisely in March 2007, the federal government of Nigeria issued out 3 licenses that will cover cities of Lagos, Benin, and Abuja. Then the license was issued for us to be able to start the CNG as an alternative fuel. Down the line, it was only at that time it was NIPCO that took that leadership role to commence their own franchise in Benin. And we have discovered that all over the world, where CNG thrive as an alternative fuel, the government intervention is very key. Without government support, there's a little they can do as regards CNG. So that is why this forum is giving all of us a hope that the time has come for CNG to take its place in Nigeria. And as at that time we did a kind of a figurative analysis, even the small impact that NIPCO was doing in Benin, we save substantial amount of money subsidy payment. So going forward, we believe that the best thing to do is to intensify effort ensuring that CNG takes its place. And that is why we in MOMAN, especially the LPG committee, we met severally to be able to discuss how we'll be able to pioneer and advocate for this alternative fuel to run. And that is why we are here. And we hope that with the government support at this time, especially with the current of the administration giving a very high hope on deepening of the use of gas in Nigeria, we know that that has come to stay. And to do that, because we need a kind of a serious government intervention in all areas. As we're going to see in the subsequent presentation, we will discover that using CNG cut across so many areas, moving from the conversion kits, which of course are to be imported, the vehicles, the government position on so many things will be able to help us drive this initiative. So we're hopeful that we in MOMAN at this time we get it right and be able to ensure that the CNG business take its place as obtained all over the world. So this is the right time, this is the right forum to be able to come out with a strategies on how we can deepen the use of CNG in Nigeria, especially now that the PMS is going to be deregulated and is going to be CNG will be maybe a good alternative to use. And that is why we quickly try to ensure that all stakeholders are put together in a table like this so that we can be able to discuss the best way to do that. I can say it here that when we started this idea in 2007, we didn't have the right support from the government, unlike now that the government is driving it. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to do more. Thank you very much for coming to this forum. And we hope at the end of it all, we come out with a good initiative on the way forward. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Tiami, for that fine presentation. And we commend you for the great job you are doing in this regard. Also, thank you, our audience, for sticking with us. Yes, there have been some imperfections along the way, but we appreciate your understanding and your sticking with us. Thank you so much. We're now proceeding to another part of the program. After we have taken this address, we want to get into it proper. We're taking the first presentation from Mr. Mike Osei. Mr. Mike Osei will be speaking on CNG as a preferred alternative fuel for transport drive. Let me quickly read the profile of Mr. Mike Osei. He is the program executive at Axela Group. With a rich career spanning oil and gas, banking, technology, consulting, and energy, Mike spent the last 15 years in the gas and power sector in the management team of Axela, heading the GMP infrastructure unit. He's a certified project management professional. He's also a member of several professional bodies, including the Institute of Management Consultants. He holds an engineering degree from ESUT and is an alumnus of Robert Gordon University, Aberdeen. He has also had trainings with the School for Energy London. Mr. Michael Say, thank you for being with us, and we are prepared to listen to you.
Thank you, moderator. And I want to stand on existing protocol given the time that we have. But I must mention the representative of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum, Dr. Ibrahim, ably represented by my friend Dr. Abner. And thank you everyone for coming in, my fellow speakers and my industry colleagues. I would share my screen and we'll take it from there. Moderator, please confirm if you can see my screen. Moderator, please, can you confirm if you can see my screen? Is there any of the speakers who can see my screen, just so I know the audience can see it, and then I'll go on.
Yes, Mike, we can see it.
Okay, okay.
Yes, please, go ahead. But you put it on slideshow so that it will be bigger.
Yeah, is it better now?
Excellent.
Okay, okay. Okay, so I'm going to go through this very quickly. That's our standard disclaimer. We are very glad to be part of this this session, and obviously have been part of the natural gas story in Nigeria, especially in the domestic market, for more than 20 years. And so we've been part of the development of the industry. Today, I'll quickly just look through these in their outline, just a brief on the petroleum distribution sector, which the chairman of MOMAN has talked about. And then we'll talk about justification for CNG in transport, and the global look at NGV, and then some case studies of what Pakistan did. I know we have mentioned Egypt, and then a pilot project that we are running in Lagos as Axela, and then how we intend that that can scale to the national that can go to the national scale, and what are the roles and responsibility of government, and a little bit about Axela. As I said, I'm going to be skipping through some of the things, given that they've talked about it. And again, I can't talk about the downstream story better than MOMAN, so I'm not going to even try. But in 2019, it's reported that we consumed 57 million liters per day of white products, and that's huge. Just to give you a sense, and again, a lot of that we'll be trying to replace with natural gas in its various forms. And I'm just going to stay just a little bit on this, because this is where we want to talk about what this is about. Essentially, what you have on the screen is the CNG value chain. You would have a feed gas source, and then all your compression systems, which we call the mother station, and then you would have trucks, CNG trucks, and trailers with CNG tubes. Each of them can typically transport about 6,000 standard cubic meter of gas at about 250 bar pressure, and they have been very safe around the world, and for as long as we've operated it in Nigeria, as the last speaker said. And then we would then, from the transport, you will then get to a decanting station where either you are filling the cars, or you are delivering the gas at the appropriate pressure to a customer that's generating power and using the gas for different kinds of things. This is the reason this is called a virtual pipeline solution, because you then are able to deliver natural gas to stranded customers without physically laying pipelines, which can take time, you know, and has its own issue. But this is one quick way, go-to-market model to deliver natural gas. And you can see there that from the customer facility, you're either filling your cars or you are doing the mass transit as we see it. And just generally, as a universe of solutions that we can use for replacing the regular white products, PMS and AGO, there's biodiesel, there's electric cars, where you are using electricity and batteries to run the cars. There's LNG that you can use, that essentially increases the range. And there's LPG certainly, and there's hydrogen fuel cell, which is, you know, catching on somewhat, albeit slower. And then there is the compressed natural gas. So that's the universe of solutions that can replace the traditional petrol and the diesel that we just talked about. And across various criteria, each of these different alternatives, you know, do have their pros and cons. Today we are zooming in on compressed natural gas. Good thing is that it's available in country, and there are existing infrastructure, and even where they don't exist, they are not very expensive and they don't take time to put them up. The cost of fuel is certainly cheaper than AGO, as you know, and has been referred to. Ability to retrofit existing vehicles, you know, a lot of that has been done. So it's proven technology. You know, almost any vehicle can be retrofitted, and then ease of handling, relatively easy to handle. As somebody said, you know, a CNG and natural gas as a larger solution has been used across Nigeria. In our own case, in the last 20 years, we have safely delivered natural gas to industries, and CNG in particular, in the last 7 years, we have delivered that as one of our solutions. So it's relatively easy to handle. Environmental impact, I think somebody has said it, and I'm going to refer to it just a little bit. It certainly has lower carbon footprint, less particulates, if at all, than AGO and even LPG. Time to market, I talked about that. It can quickly be rolled out. As another case, a commercial case for CNG, as you can see on the screen, AGO tops out at approximately $15 per MMBTU when you convert it, and then PMS around 10, and CNG starts to, you know, go below that explant, and pipeline gas and LNG even does a better job commercially. But what you are going to see is that, you know, when you then lay out all the other things, you know, the maintenance and all the other benefits that come from it, the total cost of ownership using gas-based, you know, transport system certainly pays for itself. I talked about the carbon intensity of the various fuels. You can see that for petrol, that for diesel. There's almost you know, 23 or even lower carbon footprint, you know, than the competing liquid fuels. And in terms of all the other particulates that come out, carbon monoxide is reduced 90 to 97%. Carbon dioxide, we talked about it. Nitrogen oxide, you know, and a lot of these, they are the greenhouse gas emission that causes a lot of problems, and you know, creating a lot of the climate change issues that we see. Yeah. And then in terms of just why natural gas for transport, as I already said, you would eliminate the effects of volatile prices on domestic price, and I think someone referred to it. You diversify your transport, the robustness of your transport infrastructure from external shocks. When the oil price goes down or the oil price goes up, you essentially insulate the robustness of your transport infrastructure from those external shocks. You create new jobs, new infrastructure that requires new skills, that requires new investment, that you also bring in. And they are cost-effective solution for mass transit. If we want to see a reduction in the transportation cost, which is a big part of the cost of most households, the natural gas for transport is the way to go. And I already talked about the fact that it is clean and environmentally friendly, and you can save a huge, a significant amount of foreign exchange. The moment Chairman already referred to that, because the fuel importation is one of the big drainers of our foreign exchange today, and you can certainly save all of that, especially in the situation that we are in, where there is constraint in our, in government revenue. There is less crude oil we're able to sell, given OPEC cap and general COVID impact on supply and demand especially around the world. And in terms of NGV growth statistics, NGV is the natural gas vehicles, just how other clients, have rolled out, natural gas vehicles where they are replacing their transport systems, replacing the fuel for their transport system with natural gas. You can see Colombia there, you can see India. From 2016 compared to 2019, Pakistan, Argentina, Brazil, and China. And so even countries that look similar to us are making giant strides. And it's a big challenge for Nigeria to do so. And I wanted to zoom in just a little bit about the Pakistan story, just so that we can learn from it, because there are many things that are very similar to us. Yeah. And one of the things you see is one of the largest CNG markets, and they have gas connection, as a priority to many CNG stations. And that's a station that is multi-dimensional. You would have fuel, but more importantly, you would have natural gas as one of the fueling options for vehicles. And they exempted import duties for those kinds of all the value chain of CNG. There are soft loans that the government gave, strong commitment to government, and there was liberal procedure for issuing licenses and fast-track processes to do that. What was the outcome? CNG substituted at least 6.2 billion gallons of gasoline annually, and therefore saving foreign exchange earnings to that country. And the activities of that industry has created more than 120,000, cumulative job opportunities. And that is one of the inspiration that we are taking as an organization, on this the NGV feasibility pilot that we are running in Lagos. Way back in 2015, we did a USTDA funded study of what will it take, to roll out NGV in Nigeria, starting with Lagos as one of the most populous metropolitan cities, where there are most of the vehicles that we drive in Nigeria. A good chunk of them are concentrated here. That pilot is currently ongoing, and the proof of concept bus, the full NGV bus that we are bringing, to Lagos to run, just to gather data and the matrices, so that we then know how to upscale that and roll that out. That bus is ready for shipping, from Brazil. And then the trial phase, is what we imagine will precede what we see as the rollout into the different parts of Nigeria. And so these are some of the information about the pilots that we are running. Yeah. And then what will it do? The Lagos State is the host government. As Accela, we are the ones managing the project. There are other technical partners that we are running, that we are doing this project with, and obviously a lot of the people on this on this platform today, in one way or the other, we are connected with them. Be they the conversion companies. Scania is one of the partners we are working with, you know, for the bus provision, and you know, TSF for logistics, and then our very own subsidiary, you know, providing the gas and the infrastructure that we're going to be using. Again, recall this is a pilot to just say what will it take to run our entire mass transit, you know, infrastructure in Nigeria on CNG, so that we gather the data, emission data, you know, savings, OPEX, you know, and all the other things, and not just how you manage all of that together. And this is just a picture of how all of that, how we are putting all of that together, as I have talked about. And how do we plan to scale that, you know, nationally? Again, there are many NGV refueling stations in Nigeria, as you already know, and some of them are on this platform. I mean, someone has mentioned NITCO already. There is Saga dealing with the trucks for Dangote off of Obajana. NNPC, you know, NGMC has some of the refueling stations in Warri. We have a refueling station as part of our mother station, you know, in the Lasamaja area in Lagos State. And 7up, one of our own customer, has, you know, set up you know, a refueling station within their own factory to deal with their trucks and their forklifts. And so there's a lot of activity already happening in here that we can take advantage of. Is the reason we're very excited to work with the NGEP and you know, and all the other stakeholders to make sure that this dream comes true. As a pioneer, you know, distributor of natural gas, it is our dream to see Nigeria domestic market, you know, completely run on the natural gas fuel, because that is the advantage that we have. Actually, that's a competitive and comparative advantage we have as a country to drive national and economic development. And so on a national scale, we see all kinds of CNG producers, you know, project development. We are working with MOMAN, NNPC, and many other people that I've mentioned before. And then logistics company, we're going to need all of them. We're going to need bus providers and transporters and people that are putting up refueling station and distribution infrastructure. We need to harness everybody's competencies and infrastructure and strengths to make sure that this happens, to make it really, you know, make it really work. I know we have talked about the fact that we need government to do something about enabling this sector, but these are some of the specific initiatives that the government can do. Number one, the government can set a clear policy directive. For instance, to achieve a 25% CNG mix as a transport fuel by 2025. In the first phase, you know, in some of these cities, major cities, Lagos, Kano, Kaduna, Rivers State, Anambra State, for instance. Yeah, where, you know, the CBN essentially puts up an intervention fund to help jumpstart the entire NGV value chain, and then, you know, essentially also secure, you know, appropriate gas from the domestic supply obligation, you know, for the initiative, and for the fiscals. I think we have mentioned it earlier. Zero duties on NGVs, machinery, equipment, conversion kits, exemption from VAT, just so you can jumpstart that sector. Other countries have done it, and we see the impact. I talked about Pakistan already. And what will be the enabling environment? We need to create the demand side, because we need to encourage people to convert their vehicles. Government can start, for instance, to say all government vehicles, all government fleets, and urban transit vehicles be converted. That can be a policy that generates the demand for the entire supply chain. And then on the supply side, I've talked about it. And just as Axela, you know, as I said, we're not just fly by night, you know, briefcase CNG because it's the new buzz and we are jumping in. 7 years ago, when we commissioned our CNG, I talked about it already. We had a refueling station as part of that. because we're looking forward towards a day like this, when the government will get into this and then make it a policy thrust. And we are well positioned to work with stakeholders and the government to make sure this happens, because we have the strategic partnerships, we have existing CNG and planned LNG infrastructure, we have executed projects in that space, and we can do it, we can coordinate it, and we are, as I said, we're a foremost gas distributor, and then we are positioned to drive the natural gas revolution as we have done in the last 20 years, along with other people. This is just a picture of our mother station, and what you see in the foreground is our own refueling station. You know, that vehicles can drive in today and then refuel their vehicles, and it is this essentially is the basis for the pilot that we're going to be doing. And the sense is that we're going to roll this out, and then all the mobile refueling kits, we will have them in different parts of Lagos and different parts of Nigeria, along with other people that are doing interesting stuff in this space. So that's our compressor, our mother station. That's the compressor. That's the process area. That's the dispensing unit. And as a company, you know, we can only say that we are at the forefront of a lot of these things that we have talked about. Again, because that has been our focus in the last 20 years. We now sell gas in not only in Nigeria but in other countries, as you can see. And then we have developed 260 kilometers of gas pipeline in the last 20 years, as I talked about. GasLink, GNSL, CAGC in Port Harcourt, TGNL in Shagamu area, and doing interesting stuff. They are our subsidiaries that is pushing the frontiers of ensuring that natural gas is the distribution and the usage and utilization of natural gas, is deepened in Nigeria. So thank you very much. During the Q&A, I'll take questions, but this is essentially a quick whistle tour of our contribution to this very, very noble CNG seminar webinar by Moman. Thank you very much again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ose. That was a very passionate, powerful, and practical presentation. You have taken us through not only letting us know how others are doing it, but practically what you are also doing to ensure that this can be a reality. Thank you very much for your presentation. Some of our audience members have requested that perhaps you can share your slide with them. And later at the end of the event, we can make a decision if you are willing to share the slides, and we can make it available to them. So far, we have one question from an audience member. We implore you all to please post your questions in the box, and I assure you our panelists will find answers to them. Thank you.
Thank you again.
All right. Thank you. So let us now proceed to the next part. We are taking a presentation from the Nigerian Gas Association, and Mr. Taji Obi will take the presentation. Let me briefly read his profile. Taji Obi is a management professional with certifications in corporate administration, project management, and information communication technology security. He has over 20 years cognate experience in business development, service provision, corporate planning, and administration in the oil and gas sector, as well as in the ICT and manufacturing sectors of the economy. He's a graduate of industrial chemistry from the University of Benin. He's currently the executive secretary of the Nigerian Gas Association. Mr. Ogbe, we are happy to listen to you. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I'll just quickly try to share my screen. Please confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see you. Yes, we can see you.
Okay. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to stand on existing protocols. My name is Taji Ogbe. I'm the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Gas Association. I would like to thank Moman for giving me the opportunity to present a general overview of the CNG business in Nigeria, opportunities in the CNG space, and how to unlock these opportunities. Before I get into it, a little bit about the Nigerian Gas Association. It's the apex non-partisan organization representing the varied and numerous stakeholders within the Nigerian gas industry value chain. Established in 1999, NGA is the largest gas-focused volunteer member organization, the umbrella association and voice of the gas industry in Nigeria. Our four cardinal values are advocacy, investment promotion, promotion of standards and best practices, and becoming the industry resource center of choice. NGA membership comprises corporate and individual entities in the upstream, midstream, and downstream of the value chain. And our activities include, but are not limited to, the following: continuous advocacy, our international conference, which is held every 2 years, annual business fora, our study groups, our learning solutions, training events, and regular workshops. So I would implore attendees to join the association. The information is at the bottom of the screen. So what is natural gas? Natural gas is a mixture of gases consisting like of methane and other hydrocarbons occurring naturally on the ground. The key here is mixture of gases and occurring naturally on the ground. Now, Nigeria has the largest natural gas reserves in Africa and 9th largest in the world. So Nigeria is really a gas province with some oil. So we talk about mixture of gases. Basically, you have two types of natural gas stream. You have the lean, which has more methane, and then you have the rich, which has less methane. So we've had a lot of terms out there. So just to put things in the proper context, LPG is liquefied petroleum gas. It's basically propane and butane. It is obtained through a process of elimination from the gas stream and is stored and transported as a liquid under some high compression. LNG, liquefied natural gas, is basically methane. It's obtained through a process of purification of the gas stream. It's stored and transported as a liquid under very high compression and very low temperatures. While pipeline gas is basically the gas that is delivered through the pipeline. So what is CNG itself? Compressed natural gas. Is basically methane. It's obtained through a process of purification and is transported and stored as a gas under extremely high pressure. Is used as fuel or feedstock. So the value chain itself, the natural gas value chain, if we look at those gears, you see that the downstream gear is the biggest because it has the potential for the largest impact in the economy. But you can see that the upstream drives the midstream, midstream drives the downstream, and vice versa. Now, upstream, midstream, and downstream are linked by contractual agreements between the parties. So it's very much a handshake-driven value chain. In the upstream, we have exploration and production activities which bring the gas from the subsurface to the surface. Midstream has to do with processing and transportation of the gas, while downstream distribution and utilization. Investors and end users are an important part of the value chain. So the CNG value chain is basically a subset of the natural gas value chain, and it's basically dominated by midstream and downstream activity. So the business opportunities in the CNG space consist of midstream and downstream opportunities. And if we drill down a bit further into the midstream opportunities, we need more gas processing facilities. They should be situated as close to the source of gas as possible, and a significant capital is required for that. Virtual pipelines, like Mike said, basically we call them virtual because you are still transporting gas, and the traditional method of transporting gas is through pipelines. So by the time you're doing that using your compressed containers, it's considered to be a virtual pipeline. And you can do that by road using trucks, by rail using trains, or by even water using vessels. Now, the opportunities in the midstream CNG are basically because of the infrastructure deficit. So we don't have enough pipelines to take the gas from where the source is to where it's needed. And the CNG opportunities come in there. We have a huge energy deficit. There's a gas flare commercialization program of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, which is ongoing. And then we have an industrialization deficit in the country. So what are limitations to midstream CNG opportunities? Basically, CNG opportunities in the midstream are limited by volume and distance. So for volumes of up to about 500 million standard cubic feet of gas per day, and for distances less than about 2,000 kilometers, CNG is a very attractive option. So this is where the real meat is, the biggest impact, going back to that initial slide where I showed you the big gear of the downstream. So this is where you really have the impact on the economy. You have auto gas, you have industrial power usage, you have industrial feedstock, residential power, all the equipment that is associated with that, and of course manpower and training. So looking at a SWOT analysis of CNG, one of the major strengths is that it's cheaper than the liquid fuels. Cheaper than the liquid fuels that it would displace. It's very safe to use, like Mike said, and it's a cleaner burning fossil fuel. Now, some of its weaknesses have to do with space requirements, because you do need space for your storage facilities for the gas, and then efficiency limitations because you are storing and transporting a gas rather than a liquid. Now, the opportunities stem from the infrastructure deficit, so we need more pipelines. We don't have them currently. CNG can bridge the gap. And then the energy deficit that we have in the country. I've seen some studies that have said that Nigeria needs about 50 gigawatts of power to start on the process of industrialization. And right now we're sitting on about maybe 10 gigawatts of power. So there's a deficit there. CNG can bridge the gap. And then we have an industrialization deficit. We need more industries to come up. And then there will be a lot of opportunities that will come up from the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So what are the threats to CNG? I think the biggest threat here is that global investments are basically moving away from fossil fuels. So we're running out of time there. And then standards and best practices have to be maintained, because an incident can set the CNG value backwards. So I just want to present a case study which was done in 2019 on deployment of CNG as auto gas for use on the Port Harcourt-Owerri Highway by Anthony Bogionu and others. And the investment profile included 400 CNG vehicles plying the routes and 5 CNG filling stations and other equipment. And basically, they determined that you need about 15.4 million in terms of capital expenditure. The break-even point would be just under 5 years. And then the profit per dollar invested after 7 years is 0.72. And the internal rate of return for the business is about 14.42%. So an attractive business, but they did point out that it's quite sensitive to the price of gas, the price of CNG vehicles, and then other equipment. So what do we need to unlock CNG opportunities? The first is a gas-focused legislation to deliver a vibrant and profitable standalone gas industry. The Petroleum Act of 1969 and the Oil Pipelines Act of 1970 are still the principal legislature which are controlling the industry today. So we need legislature that is focused on gas. We also need targeted incentives enshrined in law. A case in point here is the NLNG Act of 1990, which catalyzed the birth of NLNG, and NLNG has grown in leaps and bounds since then. So we need similar targeted incentives, so, tax holidays, duty waivers, on equipment that is related to CNG, targeted at CNG, but enshrined in law. Another thing that's important is that we need a clear definition of midstream and downstream enshrined in law. Standards and best practices have to be clearly defined and enforced. There has to be a clear local content integration strategy. And basically what we're saying with all this is that the rules of the game need to be clearly established to allow competition thrive and drive efficiencies in the market. So why the focus on legislation and laws? If we look at the previous case study, we can see that an investor requires about 7 years to start to see its returns. And when you consider that the average administration has a lifespan of about 4 years, maybe 8 years if it's 2 terms, and when you look at the time vista for the downstream of about 7 years, that time vista increases when you move to the midstream and even more to the upstream. In the upstream, the time vista for an investment could be 15 to 20 years. So investors would feel more comfortable when the rules of the game are determined by laws. And then I want to speak briefly on a gold rush mentality. So the reference point here is the California Gold Rush, which occurred started in about 1848. And the news of gold in California brought about 300 people to California from the United States and the rest of the world at the time. And it can be seen that first movers need promises, stories, and rumors, but a rush starts with testimony. So people who have actually done their struck gold and come back and are giving their personal testimonies to other people. It's an important part of the rush. I would also like to give an example of Levi Strauss, who became one of the richest men in America at the time by selling tools and equipment and clothing to the gold prospectors. He never went looking for gold himself. Today, his clothing company is internationally known. I'm sure many of us who grew up, in the 80s, remember Levi's jeans. So the gold rush put California on the map. From a village to the richest state in America, fifth largest economy in the world, probably behind the United Kingdom, the birthplace of Silicon Valley, Hollywood, etc. So there's no more gold there today, but the legacy lives on. So why do we think that Nigeria needs a carefully orchestrated gas rush? Because it would result in lasting economic improvement, diversification of the economy, and wealth creation. And very importantly, because of the looming sunset on fossil fuels. Some people would say it's going to happen soon. Some people would say it's going to happen later. But the truth of the matter is that the sunset is happening. So I would like us to embrace a gas rush mentality to unlock the ample opportunities in the CNG space. And please, just a quick reminder that the key to a rush is testimony. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ogbe, for that fine presentation. If you notice, there is a common trend that seems to flow in the last two presentations, and that is the role of government in helping to really jumpstart that sector. For example, one of the key things I have heard is prescriptions in the area of waivers, tax waivers. This was done in the LPG space, and today that sector has taken off. Something similar can also happen in the LNG space. We have seen this in the presentation, and we thank our team at OTL and ARS for helping us to project these slides in such a way that we can actually make sense of it. They are also part organizers of this program along with MOMAD. So thank you very much, OTL and ARS conferences, for this fine support. We're now proceeding, and this time we are taking the next presentation from NIPCO, a representative of NIPCO. The topic is daughter stations, vehicle conversion challenges, and long-term solutions to overcome conversion bottleneck. It will be taken by Mr. Kabir Ahmad. He is the Deputy General Manager of NIPCO Gas Limited. Mr. Ahmad has 18 years of experience in natural gas business. He has a degree in mechanical engineering, and he also has a diploma in industrial safety management from IIMAT Chennai in 2006. He has a certificate in project management, and he has also worked in various sectors, including safety and specialist training. He also has an MBA in project management. Thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to benefit from your presentation. So I'm turning it over to Mr. Ahmed.
Good afternoon, everyone, and especially OTL, ARS, and MOMEN, and my boss and chairman of NGEP, Mr. Dr. Ibrahim. So I thanks to everyone who are participating today in this webinar, and also my fellow colleagues and the audience. I want to share a slide which is prepared by our colleagues, especially we are focusing on conversion of vehicle which are running on natural gas. Let me upload it. One second. Sorry, I'm not able to upload it. Actually.
We can see the slides. You can proceed.
Can you see my slide?
Yes, sir, we can see it.
Yes, yes. So let me proceed with the slide. So introduction to the compressed natural gas as a vehicle fuel. This compressed natural gas can replace petrol, and also it can replace diesel. So, and there is a no changes in converting the PMS vehicle to dual fuel, and we have started in 2009, and still we are expanding our workshop to various part of the country, and now we have converted approx 5,500 vehicle in Nigeria. So what is the CNG? CNG is the major composition. What is the in the major percent, and remaining parts is propane and butane. Some places we are getting the lean gas, so obviously it has 96 to 98% of methane. A storage capacity, what we up to 250 bar. Hello, yes. So the cylinder capacity in our country, what we are using here, it can store 50, that is 50 liter capacity can store 11.5 SCM of gas. 60 liter can store means we have various range of storage capacity for automobile, and presently we are using here 65 liter in country to store the gas of 14.95 cubic meter. And I want to add the benefit of adding cylinder. If we have a high lux, it can go kilometer. Some places people are even added 3 cylinders.
Please proceed, Mr. Albert. We can hear you.
Sorry, the internet is giving a lot of yes, 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 please. Yes, yes. The internet is having issues. So now the cost of running on natural gas vehicle compared to PMS is 13 naira per kilometer. And if you are running a diesel vehicle, it will be the cost will be 24 naira per kilometer. And the saving while you are running a CNG vehicle compared to gasoline, your saving will be approximate 40 to 45% and up to 50%. And while you are running a PMS vehicle, this AGO vehicle, in place of network about ये इसकी प्रॉब्लम है, नेट की प्रॉब्लम है, किसी का नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम नहीं, मेरे में ही। नेटवर्क क्यों चला यार? हेलो आराध, हेलो।
Yeah, Mr. Moderator, can you turn on your mic?
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Ahmad.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. So we'll have the opportunity to get
yes,
the benefit of your when you share your your slides with us. Experiencing technical challenges through a force of yours. So I'm saying that we'll be happy to read more about your presentation.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you have been experiencing technical issues. Is this perfect now? Do you think the disruptions? So let us now take the question and answer sessions. Our panelists are still on ground and will help us to answer some. If you have any questions, you can put them up here and we will assign our panelists to explain. So there is a question. Let me just take it from as they come in. Okay, we have a couple of questions. So let's take this one. Can we please have this? Okay, it's not a question, it's a request. Okay, a question from Victor Abdul. There is no doubt about the availability and merits of CNG technological and infrastructural deployment. But can the Nigerian government do more to clear the grey areas in the politics and policies of this sector? Would appreciate if Dr. Abner can help us to answer this question. He's asking about government role in helping to to provide better policies. Is Dr. Abner available?
Yes, please, I'm here. I'm available.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Do you want to take a stab at the question?
Yes, I got the question very well. It's talking about bottlenecks and what have you, how government should be able to make investment easy and also to encourage the utilization of gas effectively in the country. So I quite appreciate that question, and I wish we have a wider forum where we can also discuss at length, because the issue here at hand is government has taken a decision. And this decision, there is no going back on it. You and I, as industry players today, we know the situation we are in terms of fossil fuel. Today, you got ourselves in a situation, a precarious situation, whereby crude was almost given to people at free because of the pandemic and what has happened. You'll be paying buyer to come and just lift. You can imagine that. And therefore, it is just now the market is trying to come up. Therefore, government encourage the utilization of gas. Today, we may not necessarily, I still repeat, we may not necessarily import gas for our domestic utilization. As it is today, we have to import all other white products that we require in the country. Therefore, government has made it a point of decision to ensure the utilization of gas, and any other issue or any other problem that may arise or that will hinder or that will hamper with this national gas expansion program, the Honorable Minister of State and the Minister of Petroleum Resources have given this matching order. Nothing should stop us from achieving these objectives because we have been regulated. Government has deregulated, and you must provide Nigerians with alternative fueling system. If tomorrow now crude price jumps to $70, $100 a barrel, what happens? That means Nigerians will have to buy at market-driven prices. Therefore, there is urgent need for us to have an alternative, which is gas for vehicular movement and even gas to power itself. We have the National Gas Policy of 2017, and government has already gazetted that. We have the domestic gas pricing regulation that is ongoing. There is also a committee that was set up on gas pricing review, headed by both DPR and CO Gas and Power and NMPC. And some here are also stakeholders in this regard. Therefore, whatever it will require, please, the National Gas Expansion Program is available to ensure that any serious investor in this regard that will require or they may need any intervention, the National Gas Expansion Program is available. We are reachable, and will ensure that whatever are those bottlenecks have been cleared. So that's where we are. Not only that, has given a directive to all the ministries and agencies under the Ministry of Petroleum Resources to convert their vehicles to using gas, because you cannot be a preacher and then you are not living by it. And that is currently the directive, and is being implemented. So if government itself is driving this and you are not exhibiting that you are doing it, it's practically difficult to have a buy-in of others. Not only that, MOMAN is aware also, and other stakeholders here, that the directive of the Honourable Minister to NMPC to allow their own retail stations to be used for co-location purposes in order to have the buy-in of Nigerians to see that, yes, government-owned company, there's the NMPC, has also commenced this gas utilization in having the streams of LPG or auto LPG or auto CNG or auto LNG. Therefore, there is virtually no problem how we envisage that is going to stop us from achieving that.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Dr. Abner. I know you can take a whole day to speak on this issue, considering the great work you and your team
Thank you
are
very
doing.
much. We'll even talk more tomorrow. Yeah, we'll talk tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Let us move to, there is also another question that we can also talk about. It's asking, what does one need to invest in CNG? That's a question from one of our audience members. Mr. Tajube, can you take a stab at it?
So if I understand clearly, the question is quite a general one.
Sure.
It's saying, what do you need? How kindly explain how to go about investing in CNG.
Exactly. Yes.
So I think from the perspective of the Nigerian Gas Association, the first thing would be to determine where, particularly in the value chain, that you are interested in participating. I did describe some midstream opportunities and also describe some downstream opportunities. Then, of course, you would require your feasibility studies and your market research. I would also advise that you liaise with people who are already playing in the game in that particular sector to understudy them. And then you would now basically have to go through the licensing and licensing procedures, which is usually done by the DPR. So there are many options available. You could buy into an existing business, you could start your own business, or you could go about it in a joint venture. So I think maybe some of the people who are actually our members who are playing very particular, playing specific roles in the space can give maybe more specific guidance on investment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ogbe, for that beautiful answer. So that is the much questions we can take at this time. Thank you all for sending in these questions. It is now time for us to take the concluding part of this session, the webinar, and that has to do with closing remark. We are now going to turn it over to our team at ARS conferences to launch us into that session. So just hold on. So we are taking the closing remarks of this session. It will be taken by Mr. Hope Stockman. He's the Managing Director of OPH Energy Marketing Limited. Mr. Hope Stockman is an energetic business leader with over 25 years professional experience. He was previously the head of Puma Energy International in Angola. He spent over 20 years in BP, during which he was responsible for sales and marketing, as well as major projects across 15 European countries. He holds a business administration and management degree from Vrije University, Amsterdam, and completed an international executive program at INSEAD in 1999. Mr. Stockman, you have our attention, please.
All right. I hope that everybody can hear me.
We can hear you.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank all the speakers that have contributed to today's webinar. I think we can all agree that it was a very informative session. I also want to thank OTL and ARS for organizing it. I think it's very clear that Nigeria has an abundance of natural gas. I think one of the speakers said very clearly that it was more a gas province than an oil province. So I think it is not more than logical that Nigeria would take all the opportunities it has to make use of its natural resource that it's on its shores and on its land. I think with using those resources available, it's got the opportunity to basically stimulate economic growth and basically reduce poverty across the country. I think the new initiatives and actions that have been announced by both the government and I think are very well supported by everybody that joined the webinar today. I think it speaks of that there's already a strong foundation, and that many of the actions we can be confident about initiatives that they will deliver value and will be implemented successfully in the future. And I think we can also take confidence out of the fact that many other countries has already implemented these kind of initiatives and actions before Nigeria. So there's a proven track record. And I think Nigeria's got everything to play for. So I think in concluding, I think we can all say that we are in fully support of the government's objective of deepening and expanding the use of gas in Nigeria. And I think you've heard the speakers today both supporting that and giving ideas and examples how that will work in the future. So with that, I would like to thank again all the speakers and OTL and ARS for organizing this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stockman, for those excellent closing remarks. We want to thank everyone who participated in this webinar. At the peak of it, we're close to at least 150 I can see on my screen here. Thank you all for taking out the time. We know you all have busy schedules, but you made an effort to be here, and we appreciate it. We do not take it for granted. We also want to thank the LPG subcommittee and MOMAN in general for also putting this together, along with OTL Downstream and ARS conferences. Your excellent work has been invaluable so that we can present this information. We also want to thank the representative of the chairman of the Nigerian Gas Expansion Program. Thank you for the insights offered. And we thank all the panelists, Mr. Ose, Mr. Ogbe, as well as Mr. Ahmad, and Mr. Stockman. We thank you too. though there have been technical challenges, but the meat of the conversation has been brought out. We all enjoyed everyone, and we thank you all for your presentation. The presentations will be shared to everyone who participated in the panelists. I mean, the slides will be shared to all of us. Thank you all for a great time. Thank you, ARS and OTL, for making this conference wonderful. Thank you for all the hard work that went into it, and everyone who did all they can so that we can benefit. Nigeria's over 200 TCF of proven gas reserve can be exploited for the benefit of Nigerians. And today's program has really shown that it can be done. The Axela presentation has not only tell us what is possible, but has also helps us to see that, in fact, it is possible right now. And we wish you success in your pilot program. Thank you all, and this concludes our session today. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a beautiful time. Thank you. The session has come to an end now.